Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of Taber Town Council for May 27, 2019. First call the meeting to order and ask for an adoption of the agenda. Councillor Garner.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Item 3.1, Mr. Orwa.
Yes, in front of you is the minutes for special meeting of council, May 9th, 2019, for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Thames.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council adopts the minutes of the special meeting of council held on May 9th, 2019 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I wasn't present at that meeting, so how did,
No, you can.
I can adopt or do I? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You've reviewed the minutes, right? So unless you saw anything extraordinary. Okay. Once again, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.2, minutes of public hearing meeting of council, May 13th, 2019. Mr. Orwa.
Second for your consideration is minutes of the public hearing meeting of council, May 13th, for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make the motion? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council adopts the minutes of the public hearing meeting of council held on May 13th, 2019 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.3, minutes of regular meeting of council, May 13th, 2019. Mr. Orwa.
Again, third for your consideration is minutes of regular meeting of council, May 13th.
Right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on May 13th, 2019 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Just back to that, we did have an error apparently at the May 13th meeting related to Council Resolution 258/2019, which should have said 80th Avenue, not 8th Avenue. So I would be asking Councillor Stravas to deal with rescinding the resolution 258/2019, please.
Yes, Your Worship and Council, we need. I'll make a motion that we rescind resolution 258/2019.
All right, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
And Your Worship, in its place, we'll make a new resolution that a council approves a 10-year no-fee lease for the 14.83 acre parcel located at 5100 80th Avenue to Farming Smarter for the purpose of a small plot and large scale research trials.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 4, Business Horizon, there is none. Bylaws, item 5, item 5.1. Bylaw 06/2019 Eureka Area Structure Plan. Mr. Orwa.
Yes, I would like to call upon Ms. Mongs to speak to the Eureka Area Structure Plan, Bylaw 6/2019.
Thank you, Ms. Monks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of council. At the last council meeting on May 13th, a public hearing was held and further to that at the April 23rd council meeting. First reading was given for bylaw 06/2019 for the Eureka Area Structure Plan. So we have therefore met the Municipal Government Act requirements that would allow us to proceed with finalizing this plan, and we would seek second and third reading if council so wishes. This will allow for future land use dedication in the area structure plan development area and sale and development of the lots with a detailed development strategy in place.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Monks? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Garner.
I'm prepared, Mr. Mayor, at this time to make a motion that council gives second reading to bylaw 06-219 and the Eureka Area Structure Plan as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Someone prepared to make the third required motion? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move that council gives third reading to bylaw 06-2019 and the Eureka Area Structure Plan as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6, action item 6.1, RC Strategy, Recreation Master Plan. Mr. Orwa.
At this point, I would call upon Ms. Phillips to come forward, and I think together is also we have Mr. Swartz, Ryan, also to join to explain where we are, at least for now, with our Rec Master Plan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you know, RC Strategies was chosen to do our Rec Master Plan for the 2019 budget. We've invited them to join us to give you an update on what the project objectives are. The Rec Master Plan is a major project that will entail about 23 weeks to complete. It'll give the town direction over the next decade or more on future development within to help guide us with our capital budget and planning for the future. We wanted to involve council early in this process so that we're following the wishes of council and we can update our priorities if there are any there. Today, this is more of an information opportunity for you, obviously an opportunity to give input, and all members of council will be interviewed at some point in time with the different boards that you serve on, as we will be targeting all those groups. So at this point, I'll hand it on to Mr. Schwartz.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Don. And thanks for having me here today. Is there any way that I can control this? Okay, perfect. I won't take up too much of your time today. I just, like Don said, just want to give you just kind of a rundown of what we're up to in the community, kind of who we are, and if any of your residents have any questions about the process, hopefully you'll feel like you have a bit more understanding of the process after this. So the main purpose of the meeting is to just inform you of the planning process, also to give you an opportunity to provide any initial thoughts or perspectives you might have about recreation in the community here. I don't intend to have an in-depth conversation discussion today, but did want to give you that opportunity if you had any kind of burning top-of-mind thoughts before we started this process. And like Don said, everybody will have a chance to provide input to influence the plan before it's drafted and finalized. So just to introduce myself, I work for a company called RC Strategies Plus PERC, and we are a consulting firm that specializes in helping municipalities plan for community services. And probably about 75% of the work that we do revolves around helping develop recreation master plans, which is exactly what this project is all about. We threw up our mission statement here. We really want to make sure that our clients have the information necessary to make informed decisions. We're also learning and sharing. So we do this work throughout Western Canada, and we can provide a lot of perspectives of other communities of similar size, kind of what they're up to, what some of those best practices are. And then likewise, hopefully we can take some of the things that you're really good at to other clients as well. I just highlighted a few plans here at the bottom. So we have done quite a bit of work in Southern Alberta, including communities like Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Vulcan, Calgary, the Dunmore Agricultural Society. So we are fairly familiar with the area here, and definitely looking forward to starting this project with you. Just one more slide about us. So like I said, or Don said, my name is Ryan Schwartz, and I'm a co-project manager with Rob Parks, who's on the left there. So out of everybody on the kind of our project team, Rob and I will be the ones that you'll see in the community. Rob is here today. He's actually meeting with some members of the Mennonite community. He did this afternoon, and right now he's talking to a variety of recreation staff over at the community complex. Jake and Megan will be helping out with some of our background research. You probably won't see them in the community too much. Danielle is our graphic designer. And then Edo Kanchian is on our team. He actually works for ACI Architects. So he's within our scope of our project. He has a couple days dedicated to this project, and that's kind of flexible of what his role might be, but some services he could offer would be to conduct a basic architectural assessment of your facilities, or to help provide some kind of initial kind of costing estimates if you had any questions about, what might this cost versus that. So that's a little bit of information about us. Just some information about what a recreation master plan is, just so that you have a bit of understanding of kind of what we're trying to develop here. So it is a high-level strategic plan for the rec department. It should answer the question, why do we even use taxpayers' money to provide recreation? It helps guide decision making and justify that investment that we're building upon. It'll help identify some priorities. So, typically master plans, the scope of it is looking long-term over the next 10, 15 years. So what are some of those priorities? Where do we want to go in the next 10, 15 years? And it'll help provide some direction on that. Just looking at kind of where a rec master plan would fit in comparison to some of your other plans that you'd have. It would fit in underneath your strategic plan. So that's something that we're aware of, and we're going to be, looking at and kind of using as a starting block to develop our plan for the recreation department. And then the rec master plan will kind of feed into these, 4 other boxes below. So it'll help you, conduct your annual business planning, when you're looking at kind of the feasibility of specific facilities, provide some direction on that. Looking at your policies and procedures, and it'll help inform your capital plans and budgeting. So just want to let you know that, rec master plan is not going to be a detailed 10-year capital plan with all the costs, laid out for the next 10 years, but hopefully it does provide enough detail that it can, start you in the right direction and then kind of get that momentum rolling and make sure that it's informing, capital plans and whatnot moving forward. Just one more slide about, some contents that rec master plans typically deal with, and obviously we're going to custom make this for the Tabor context, but typically we start off with some kind of upfront foundational piece. So whether that's a vision or mission or goals, objectives, values, principles, the way that we come up with these is always different. My initial thoughts, and this isn't for sure what's going to happen, but your overarching strategic plan is fairly recent, and a lot of your goals and objectives relate to recreation and community services. So I think instead of starting from scratch and trying to make new vision, new mission, how do we take some of those and kind of further along your overarching agenda? So that's something that we're gonna have to figure out. In terms of service delivery, so things that a rec master plan will deal with, provide some guidance for your programs, your partnerships, policies. How do you support community groups? So as you're probably well aware, without your local volunteers and community groups providing recreation, we wouldn't have as many opportunities as there are. So how are we currently supporting them, and how can that support be enhanced? How do we, promote opportunities? We might have a lot of cool stuff going on, but it doesn't really matter if our residents are not aware of them. So how do we make sure that they're aware of what's happening? Allocating rental spaces. So we provide facilities here that groups access. How do we make sure that, we're spreading that access fairly? And then, fees, what are we charging? How much does it actually cost us to operate these, and to what level are we subsidizing these services? We do look for areas of how can we be more efficient with costs, but we also want to make sure that our rec opportunities are affordable for all of our community members. And then infrastructure. So, typically when people think of a rec master plan, they flip to the section where it shows, okay, what's, going to be the new facilities over the next 10 years. And that is just, a small part of what the rec master plan is. It'll definitely, identify what some of those priorities are. But I just wanted to mention, right up front that maintaining existing facilities and spaces is kind of a number one priority for us. So before we think about, what we need in the future, how are we taking care of the facilities we already have? Looking at, the lifespan of our facilities, if there are some aging ones, what's the process of decommissioning or, rejuvenating them or, building them from scratch sort of thing. So some considerations around that. I'll let you know a little bit about our public engagement process, but through this process, we're going to have a big wish list of what people want to see in the community. So it'll be kind of our job to sort through what's a want versus a need. What are some of those top priorities? How do we prioritize them in a transparent way so that when we do make decisions, some people or groups might not be happy, but at least they can see that there is a process behind that decision making that we can stand behind. Yeah, so that's all I'll say kind of about expectations for the plan. I'll just tell you a little bit about how we're going to develop the plan. So there's actually going to be 2 deliverables that we're going to produce. There's going to be a research and engagement report and then a master plan. And the reason why we separate them is because if all of the research and the master plan are lumped together, it becomes a document that's around 100 pages, a lot harder to digest. Will end up on the shelf and not be used as much. So we'll produce a research report, and these topics will be in there. So a planning review will look at the existing plans that you already have, as well as what the province and the at the national level, what there are in terms of recreation frameworks and what best practices we can take. We'll look at your population and demographics. What are we going to look like in the next 10, 15 years? Look at your current facilities and programs, how you conduct your business right now with that service delivery, and then we'll look at some trends and best practices, maybe some advice from other communities. So that's kind of the background research. We're also doing a series of engagement, which is really important. So this is one thing I really wanted to let you know about is in the next week or two, everybody in the community, every household will be receiving a postcard in the mail with instructions of how to fill out their household survey, which will be asking them, what would they like to see in the future? What kind of barriers prevent you from participating in recreation? All those kind of things. So they'll be receiving a postcard in the mail with instructions to fill out an online survey. If they want to fill out a hard copy, there's also instructions of how they can pick up a hard copy, maybe if they don't have access to the internet or prefer not to fill it out that way. We do want to hear from everybody. So that'll be coming out in the next week or two. We'll also be surveying community groups that provide opportunities to your residents. And we're also meeting Rob and I are meeting next week with a number of stakeholders in the community. And then today we had some internal interviews with some of your staff. I think. Okay, I just have one more slide here before I open it up to any questions or comments. So we'll be conducting our research and our engagement this spring and summer. We want to hit, all those households before they go away on summer vacation or whatnot. That kind of is the slow period for engagement. So we're rushing to get the engagement done this spring. We'll finish up the rest of the research in the summer. And then in the early fall, we'll have a few visioning sessions. And this is where we meet with your recreation staff, with the rec board, potentially with you if you're interested, and we share the research results and we provide our opinion of what we think the direction for the rec master plan should go and give you a chance to influence that. So that's what it means by the visioning session and community workshop. And then we'll draft the plan, and before the plan is finalized, we want to make sure that everybody who provided input into the plan has a chance to provide any last-minute feedback before it is finalized. That's a process we always follow with the public and with the stakeholders. And we're looking to finish up the project, you know, before the end of this calendar year. So that just gives you a little bit of sense of the timeline. So here's my last slide. Like I said, don't mean to get into a huge discussion right now. You will have opportunity to provide input, but I did want to give you opportunity if you did have anything kind of top of mind. I did post some questions to help kind of get you thinking if you wanted to. So, you know, why does the town provide recreation? You know, what are some of those kind of key values that we can really lean on in this plan? What's your evaluation? How are we doing right now? Are we doing a good job? Are there things that we can improve on? Is there anything specifically that you'd like to see addressed in this plan? And then just, you know, any other comments or questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Councillor Strauss.
Your Worship, yes, to Ryan, to our delegation here, just a kind of a question, just to get a little framework here from. So, do you take previous rec plans and just take a look to see what has been done and what the needs were then, and kind of expand upon from that as what we've accomplished and where we're going with that? So you use that as a foundation and integrate your plan with that?
Yeah, definitely. We'll look at, you know, all the previous planning that you've done. We don't want to start from scratch. I know that you did do some work a couple years ago around recreation planning, so we'll consider all of those, as well as the feasibility studies that have taken place, like the small ice investigation. And I know that there has been some work around, you know, indoor field feasibility. So all of that stuff will be considered, yeah.
Councillor Beckery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Parks, I'm on the Recreation Board. Mr. Parks, I believe, made the presentation to the Rec Board about the last meeting.
Yeah.
It was very informative, thank you. You spoke about service delivery and partnerships.
Yeah.
And I guess my question would be, to what extent are you involving or speaking to the MD of Taber, who's a pretty big partner?
Sorry, who?
With the MD of Taber, Municipal District of Taber.
Yeah.
Surrounding us here. Is there any involvement by RC Strategies to speak to the MD of Taber or things like of that nature?
Yeah. So they're on the list for stakeholders to be invited to those face-to-face stakeholder meetings. And we definitely will be talking with them. And it's my understanding that they are doing a similar process right now. So we want to make sure that we're, you know, collaborating. And if there's any ways that we can align our plans, we will. Yep.
Right. Anything else? Right. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Someone prepared to make a motion? Anyone? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accept the presentation from RC Strategies regarding the recreation master plan as information.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 6.2, Rotary Alberta Youth Entrepreneurship Camp Sponsorship. Mr. Orwa.
So, Your Worship, now we did get some requests for donation from Rotary Alberta Youth Entrepreneurship. And joining us today is Sean with us here to maybe have some questions and explain exactly what this is all about.
And Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm Sean Premo. I'm from Community Futures here in town. So just a few quick things. I'm just here to mainly promote our entrepreneurship camp. So a little background information. We've been running this camp for 22 years now. It's out at Cypress Hills, Eagles Nest Ranch. Every year, 60 kids from Southern Alberta go to the camp. So 4 from Taber and the MD have gone every year for almost 22 years. In the last few years, even though we've boosted our marketing probably about 5 times, I'm struggling to get kids to sign up. So this isn't just a looking for donations. I did speak with Joe earlier, and we were discussing how this sponsorship should come from private businesses. That is what we've been doing for the past 22 years. You can only ask the same businesses over and over so many times. So in the last few years, I've just kind of expanded our reach. The MD has sponsored us $1,000 the last number of years, last 2 years. So it costs us $650 per kid from our area. We can send max of 4. As of right now, I have 2 applications in, I believe. Last year, we only had 2 kids go. Before that, we had 4 every year for 20 years. So I'm doing all I can to market this. It is a great camp. It's a week long. It's free for the kids. They basically learn how to create a business, and then they go on to create their own business, to which they make a product and sell it at the end of the week. They learn a lot. Half the time is also rec time. The beautiful thing about the camp is there's no reception, so no cell phones. The kids don't know each other. They're all from all different backgrounds, so you really get to see the kids interact and socialize with each other. We have great stats from kids going on to post-secondary after taking this camp. There's a number of campers that have went on to create successful businesses. So even if council doesn't feel this is something that you want to sponsor, at the end of the day, our office covers the tab if we can't get private sponsorship. So it's going to get paid either way. If it's not something you think you want to sponsor, just creating some market awareness would be great. I know you guys let us throw it on your town Facebook page this year, which helped. So this is more just me trying to promote it. I only have a few weeks left. So yeah, if there's any way, if you know of anyone, the ages 13 to 15, if you know anyone that would love to go to camp, it's a great camp. It's free. It's good for the community. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Councillor Beckery.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sean, is Community Futures funding any, and putting any dollars into this? Community Futures I'm talking about.
Yes, so if we don't get private sponsorship, we pay the $2,600 ourselves.
Thank you. And second question, Mr. Mayor, how about the Rotary Club? Do they provide funding?
So the Rotary has come aboard 2 years ago now, which has been amazing because they've dumped a lot of money into it that was needed for the facility. And they do a great job of promoting it in their areas. Our problem is our Rotary disbanded, so we're not getting any of that extra support in Taber. So it's pretty much on me to do in our office. So yeah, I know even the Rotary in Lethbridge sponsored $5,000 for camp, but yeah, we don't have a Rotary here. So
Councillor Strauss.
Yes, Your Worship, my question isn't for Sean, but it's for Councillor Garner here, who is our rep on the Chamber of Commerce. And does the Chamber support this? Is this on their agenda? Is this something that the Chamber should be looking at and sponsoring? You're the business reps in the community. It seems to me this is kind of more up your alley, or up the Chamber's alley.
Yeah, I think it dovetails well with the mission of the Chamber of Commerce.
I can definitely reach out to the Chamber. And like the MD was the first time I ever came for sponsorship from the town side of things. We've never had a problem getting private sponsorship. We're just this year we're a bit short, so that's why I'm reaching out.
It's not that I'm against it. I just think that the ask should be through the business community, and the Chamber, of course, represents a couple hundred businesses in this area, and it would probably fit better into there. And I understand there's a chamber up in Vauxhall as well, so perhaps this is where the ask should be rather than for municipalities.
I'll set that up and I'll attend the next Chamber meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Just had one more thing I just want to get some feedback on. I'll be quick. So the past 4 years, I've been running this beautification loan program in Taber. I don't know if you're all aware of it. For the most part, yeah. So my question is so I got the funds about just under a month ago. I get enough money to do 10 businesses at the max dollars every year. I've gotten 4 done already, and I have 2 applications in the works. My question to you guys, and usually I just get this feedback from Corey. I've been using my own discretion on this program for 4 years now. Is when I get businesses that want to take a second loan out, I mean, it hasn't been too much of an issue. We have done it a few times where we've done the program twice for the same business. It's how long of a wait period, in your guys' opinion, would you want me to give? So when I get the money, I go after first timers always. That's what I'm doing right now. So all 6 that I have right now are all first timers to the program. Corey mentioned December on waiting before going after people who want to apply for a second loan. My opinion, that's a long wait, and I just have to sit on that money for months then.
Mr. Beckering had a comment?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I believe this particular discussion is out of order. It's not on the agenda.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I didn't want to stop you exactly, Sean, but yeah, he's right.
Sorry, I can come back and discuss.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can maybe go through our administration also and probably get a fair answer that way, but understand your concern. That's a legitimate concern.
I'll come back to the next meeting.
For sure. Thank you. Just back to the original question, I'd just like to say, you know what, the town of Taber is a business. So I don't know, I don't think this is an unreasonable ask. It's not a lot of money to be asking for a great cause, and Mr. Pramel hasn't been here before either. Saying that, the MD has supported this in the past, and I don't know that such a bad thing that we shouldn't support this in this case if they're looking at a shortfall here. And it sounds to me like it's been a great cause for a long time, and for whatever reason, having some difficulty this year. So I'd like to see us support this if we can be on board with that and go forward. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with you. I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council donates $1,000 to the Rotary Alberta Youth Entrepreneurship Camp Program from the council discretionary fund.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? Councillor Bruin.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to that, Councillor Beckering. Could we perhaps increase that to 1,300 instead of 1,000? Because $650 per child. I'd like to support two.
I would accept that amendment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Friendly amendment added motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right, thank you. Item 6.3, amended flag protocol policy. Mr. Orwa.
Yes, at this point, I would like to ask Ms. Vanham to provide some explanation here and maybe just explain to council briefly why we need to amend that policy.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. As per your Resolution 208-2019, made at a recent council meeting, the policy has been amended to include the Southern Alberta Society of Veterans in United Peacekeeping to half-mast the flag. The procedures have also been updated related to the operating.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion. Councillor Thames.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that council adopts the flag protocol procedure C-9 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.4, policies proposed for repeal. Mr. Orwa.
At this point, I'll call Mr. Dusky to step to the podium and probably walk us through the three policies that the administration would like to repeal.
Mr. Dusky.
The three policies are Lone Worker Policy 72C-23-04-01. This policy has been replaced by the Lone Worker Safety Directive number 05-02-04-02. Number two, Town Vehicle Accident Policy number 72S-841024. This policy has been replaced by the Use of Town Vehicles Policy PS-PW-2 and Motor Light Vehicle Operation Safe Work Practice and Procedure. Number three, Hearing Protection Policy number 84S-8747. The specifics of this policy have been included in the following health and safety program: Personal Protective Equipment Directive, Mower Safety Work Practice and Procedure, and Chainsaw Power Safe Work Practice and Procedure.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Just to clarify, Mr. Orwa, I believe we're going to need three separate motions as a result?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so I'm prepared to make the first motion. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is very boring. Mr. Mayor, I'll move that council repeals Lone Worker Policy number 72C/23 2019/04001.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Someone prepared to make the second motion. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the council repeals the town vehicle accidents policy number 72S-841024.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And the third required motion. Councillor Towns.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that council repeals hearing protection policy number 84-8747.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dusky.
Try to make it more exciting next time.
Pretty tough, Dave.
Item 6.5, information for council. Mr. Orwa.
Thank you very much, His Worship. So I'll call upon Mr. Shea to come forward to give us some briefings from the traffic committee pertaining to this issue.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Shear.
Okay, from council standing items, we had an initiative to lower the speed limit on 64th Avenue from 50 kilometers an hour to 60 kilometers an hour. You can see we went through the traffic committee. We thought we'd send it to MP Engineering for their traffic analysis. Within that analysis, they decided it's not really good practice, as that is a main industrial collector, to slow it down to 60. Traffic's moving well. In fact, traffic is moving very well. And most of the 80% of the vehicles on their speed. So that's one thing we might want to look at, and has been discussed with Taber Police Department. But the recommendation is that we maintain the speed limit as 60 kilometers an hour.
Great. Thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Stravas.
Your Worship, Mr. Shearer, just how does the traffic committee integrate this? I know you have a sergeant on there from the police department, but how do you integrate this information with the police department? Like, do they act upon it? Like, is there something that is it defined in the traffic committee? You know, that this information goes and is forwarded to the police department for analysis, or
Everything in the traffic committee is done from the more police monitoring in that area. Then he gives them that directive. The traffic committee itself has no power. Only the CAO has power in the traffic committee.
so then if there needs to be follow-up and from this here, then the CAO would direct
That's correct.
the
Yes.
police department to act upon it. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Councillor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, just to go a little further and Joe there, so when we do the camera, we set it up, do we share that information with the police department, the speeds and all
Yes.
that? That's
Anytime they actually request certain locations, so we'll put it out there to monitor that location. They get it, the information. It goes through the traffic committee, and in turn, when we bring our minutes back to you, you get that information also.
Okay, so they know the speeds.
Oh, yes.
If it's 84% over the speed limit, they
Yes.
know approximately how.
We actually are looking at another device that we just wrap around the pole that nobody even sees the speed to get actual speeds. Because lots of people, when they see that sign, they'll slow down, speed up. Is that the actual speed that everybody's going? So we're looking at other devices too.
Mr. Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for council's clarification, it's my opinion that the only body that can give direction to the Taber Police Service, i.e. the chief, is the police commission, not the CAO.
That's correct. But the traffic committee is directed from the CAO.
Councillor Stravas.
Worship, just on another, on this, Mr. Shearer here, MPE is saying if anything is done, it should be the placement of a four-way stop sign to slow traffic down. How does the traffic committee look at
We
slowing
really
that down?
want to be careful with that because we're dealing with a lot of truck traffic. It's not easy for these big vehicles to stop and start all the time. We try to limit the amount of stops and yields within a main collector road. You want your main collector road just to go straight through as quick as possible.
So then, what would be the traffic committee's recommendation into improving the safety on 64th?
I would say better police monitoring, more effective enforcement.
All right. Thank you. Anything else? Someone prepared to make a motion? Oh, sorry. I guess we did have one other item on there as well, correct? But okay, so we'll go with that then. The second item, please, Mr. Shearer.
From council's direction, we asked that we put out some benches downtown area in the ball boats. He directed $5,500. He didn't say what benches, so we brought you some benches to look at, what you would prefer. Actually, the locations too in the ball outs, and that depends on which bench you pick, because the cost is very diverse, anywhere from $1,400 all the way down to $416. So we're asking for council's input on which bench they would prefer. Because if you go with the most expensive one, you're likely only going to get 3 benches in there. But if you go with the less expensive, the $416, might be 7 or 8, depending on the shipping cost too. We haven't calculated in the shipping cost yet.
All right, thank you. Well, I believe this was Councillor Garner's initiative originally, so maybe we can ask Councillor Garner just to clarify. To start with number 1, I believe it was 4 benches, correct? We were
Right.
talking.
And having read this report, I concur completely with Public Works in that I think the best option is to go with a smaller bench, because those bulb outs, from what I can see, are getting pretty populated with flower pots and lots of different things. So I think that's a great suggestion coming to us from administration, to go with a little smaller bench and to put them on more bulb outs. I fully support that.
So council direction is more, we see there's a 4-foot option or a 6-foot option. And really no more than 2 people ever sit there at one time. So if you're all in agreement with the 4-foot option, then we'll move that direction.
Absolutely. I know I am.
So just to clarify, now we're talking 8 benches with a smaller variety. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
All right. And that would be the one we're looking at right there, the $400 range, roughly. Okay, everybody on board with that? Councillor Chavez?
Worship, that original motion, did it say 6 benches, or did it up to, because it said, I know the limit was $5,500, but did it actually say 6 benches to a maximum, or because now we're getting into 8 benches because of the price. Was there a limit on how many benches?
I think it was suggested 4 benches in the motion, but a limit of $5,500.
We had stipulated 6 to 8 foot benches, but by going smaller, I think it fits the scenario better on the bulb outs. So I think we're getting way more bang for our buck if we go with the recommendation put before us today.
I was just wondering though if that motion was specific for 4 benches.
I think for that particular motion, it was 4 benches.
We would have to rescind that motion and make a new motion then, administration, is that? Because it does specify 4 benches there, does it not?
So if that is the directive of the council, then you have to rescind the other one and pass a new motion.
It's easy enough to do, I believe, Councillor Garner, if you'd like to do that, just to rescind that original motion, then go with the 8 benches for what administration is suggesting.
Sure.
Recommending.
I'm happy to do that, rescind the motion made for 4 benches and go with the new recommendation put before us today and go with 8 smaller benches would be my motion.
Mayor.
Mr. Becker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we have to rescind the motion and vote on it, then make a new motion.
That's correct, yeah. So we'll just have to get you to rescind the actual, we'll need the resolution number there, please.
205-2019.
Just get you
Mr.
to.
Mayor, I would like to rescind motion number 205-2019.
All right, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Can I ask a question, Mr.
Councillor Broom.
The benches we've chosen then, we're going with 8. So the quality of these 8 benches are going to be sufficient enough. Okay, that's my only question.
All right, once again, motion on the table. Councillor Tams? Oh, sorry, okay. All right, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. And a new motion required, Councillor Garner?
Sure. I make a motion that we go with the presentation brought before us today by Public Works and go with 8 smaller benches on the bulb outs as given in our information package to a maximum of $5,500.
All right, thank you. Just to clarify, Mr. Oro, does that cover all the bases completely for administration? Okay, perfect, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Item 6.6, Tabor Municipal Police Commissioner Report.
We still need a motion though.
Pardon me?
We still need a motion for the rest to accept this as.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. We do need a motion for the information for council. Councillor Towns.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that council accepts the material received in this agenda item as information.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.6, Tabor Municipal Police Commissioner Report. Mr. Orwa.
For you is the TABA Commission report and for your consideration. And if there's any other question coming out of it, we can make a follow-up on behalf of the administration.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Stravos?
Worship, I don't have a question, but perhaps just a little antidote that goes with this year. I think recently we've seen crime prosper here quite rapidly in this quaint little community of ours, and probably it's time to take a look and analyze where we're going with all this, because when we start getting car chases and drug and guns in town from outsiders, I think probably this council, it would be prudent for us to have a look at where we're going with the police service and see what we need to do about enforcement in the future, because obviously the stats here right in front of us and what we hear on the news media tells us a story that's happening out there.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the Taber Municipal Police Commission report for information.
Great, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.7, department reports. We'll start with this individually, and if anybody has a question, you just stop me accordingly, please. Engineer and Public Works Department report. Water and wastewater treatment report. Recreation Department report. Fire Department report. Administrative Services report. Human Resource report. Finance Activity report. Plan and Economic Development report. And CAO Activity report. Seeing no questions, someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council accepts the department reports for information.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And we're now on to mayor and council reports. Go with Councillor Garner.
My report is it was a busy month. Attended coffee with council once. Attended a quarterly traffic committee meeting. Attended Cornfest invitation meeting that went out to yourself, myself, and Mr. Armsfelt, with the Chamber of Commerce. Attended the Handy Bus Committee meeting, and Communities in Bloom asked Councillor Stross and I to sit in on one of their meetings. And a trout pond planning meeting. So, all in all, I tried to be everywhere I could be. So,
all right, thank you, Councillor Stravos.
Yes, Your Worship. Yes, the trout pond meeting and where we're going with that. Communities in Bloom, I'm going to expand a little bit on that. The ladies got a fair amount of cash, and they're looking at investing it in lighting up the park, and they plan to do some great things there. So we're in the process of going through all of that. That was one of the reasons why we had that extra pedestal put into the park there, so that we could have some extra lights for that, so there wouldn't be extension cords hanging all over the place. Taber District Housing, we had a group, the board toured the new facility at Fort McLeod, McGrath, and the renovated facility at the Scoldale Seniors facilities, and these are all newly rebuilt or renovated facilities. We're at a crossroad where we have to make some hard decisions. Our facility is outdated. It's our rooms are half the size of what they should be. It needs to be upgraded, so we're working hard in doing that. So somewhere down the line, we'll be coming back to the town, probably with an ask somewhere along the line.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Busy month. I attended the May Police Act Working Group. We discussed many issues. Prime thing right now is funding, and waiting to see what direction the new government will give us. I also attended today actually a Highway 3 executive meeting, just trying to go forward with our meeting here in Taber on June 7th. Everything's looking really good there. We're getting, I think the town should be aware of the amount of traffic that's going to be increasing through the town. with the new fertilizer plant being built just to the east of us, and at least one, maybe more potato storage facilities. So we are going to see an increased amount of traffic through our community. So anything we can do, I think, to support Highway 320 is fairly important for the town. I also attended the barbecue event here this last weekend, and I was very impressed. I think the town did a fantastic job. The winners were well deserving, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to next year.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I had a chance to go and donate blood as part of the town initiative for May, which was as enjoyable as blood donation can be. They give you cookies at the end, so that's nice. I attended coffee with council. I also attended all the other meetings I was supposed to attend, with the exception of the Joint Economic Development Committee and Handy Bus meeting. I missed those meetings because I was in Edmonton as part of a legislature trip with my son's class, and our MLA, Mr. Grant Hunter, joined the class for a picture, which I thought was very nice. It was good of him to make that time. And I also had a chance to attend the barbecue competition on the weekend, and I would echo what Councillor Bruin said. It was very well done. So thank you to everybody that had a part in that.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Mayor, I attended all the meetings I'm required to attend except for the Tabor Exhibition Board last week, Wednesday, I believe. But the following day, I did attend a meeting with the executive of the Tabor Exhibition Association, Ann Carey, and Mr. Swarbrick, to iron out some issues regarding the renovation, and I think they were solved amicably. Nothing else to report.
All right, thank you. Councillor Towns.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I attended the meetings I had to, except the rec board. I could not make that one. And I did also attend that barbecue, and I can happily report I am 6.2 pounds heavier than I was before, and it was fantastic. It was well done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And also a very busy month for myself. Some of the highlights were the coffee with council sessions were very good, very well done, and very well received overall. Trout pond meeting was very, very well done and or well received as well. I also donated blood. That was a great event and a great procedure the town now has initiated, and I think will be that much better going forward. And I also attended the Deborah Myers graduation this past week, and that was a very nice event, very well done event, and very much appreciated to be there. Thank you. Someone prepared to make a motion as a result. Councillor Beckering.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the council accepts the mayor and council reports for information.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We do not have delegations or a delegation tonight. I just have one left. That's a standing item, council requests. Mr. Orwa?
Yes, I think this is now the opportunity council has to put forward any request they have for administration to act upon. And I think if you look at the action items, the standing items, we are getting close, and some of this will start dropping off.
All right, thank you. Councillor Strauss.
Yes, Your Worship. This is, I guess, to Public Works. I think that this would be their department. I've had some seniors ask about the roadways in the cemetery as far as being graded and graveled. Apparently they've been a little sloppy over the last couple of weeks, and apparently there's potholes that they go through. So when they're going to visit their loved ones, they're a little concerned about it. So I'm not quite sure what the policy is or how quickly you address that kind of thing. So.
From council's request here, we'll make sure it's graded once a week. We'll go out there weekly and get it done.
And deploy gravel in the low
Gravel
spots.
and make sure the holes are filled. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't need a standing item. We'll just do that directly.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, that was their concern, is that they was a little wet out there, but I guess it's been raining lately too.
Raining, and when it rains, naturally our asphalt pops up, right?
Yeah.
So.
Sure. Yeah.
And let's not forget the cemetery is built in.
Yeah. No, it was a concern that was relayed to me, and I said, well, gee, I'm not quite sure how often they do that, but great.
Yes, we'll get it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Garner?
Yeah, I had an issue I would like to bring up, and it's a suggestion. If you read at the bottom, it says, this is an opportunity for council to give suggestions or direction to administration. So I've got a suggestion I'd like to bring forward. I'd like to see if we can't investigate or look into the formation of some kind of a document that we can give to community groups that come to partner with us in projects in light of some of the I won't say hassles, but misunderstandings that we've had with the fourth ball diamond. I think, having been involved in some projects myself over the years, I think the people in the community don't understand the qualifications or hoops that you have to jump through with the town to really partner effectively. And I think if people that came to us with really good ideas that we'd like to kind of push forward, I think if they knew up front what the qualifications were so that we can work well with them, I think it would solve a lot of our issues. And I've kind of drafted up just a suggested form with some checkbox items that when somebody does come to us, let's say to build a dog shelter or a fourth ball diamond or whatever it is, that we can say, hey, that's a great idea, we can pursue that, but here's the form. This is what we require, because I think having been on some of those projects before, it can be very frustrating working with the town, and I'm sure it's very frustrating for the town to work with people who maybe don't have their ducks in a row, to speak. So I think if we communicate better right off the start, I think it will assist everyone. So that's just a suggestion that I would make. And
all right, any questions, Councilor Beckering?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it is an excellent suggestion by Councilor Garner. I don't think it fits within this concept of making motion discussion.
No,
I think, Mr. Mayor, if possible, that could be put on the next agenda for council, and Councilor Garner can relay the information to the mayor, and we can discuss it, so we're prepared to speak about it and have some knowledge of it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement also, Councilor Beckering. If Councilor Garner is in agreement with that, basically to put some form of RFD with examples or samples.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm just going by the last sentence in that paragraph saying that it is an opportunity for council to provide suggestions. That's all I'm doing here. I'm not making
No, that's what I'm saying, but I believe if you give that to administration, there doesn't have to be a motion made out of this,
yeah,
correct?
No, that's fine.
Mr. Irwa?
Yeah, I accept that.
Ms. Van Dam?
That's fine.
In this case, I think we're fine. Yeah. And then, I mean, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure you have some great ideas there.
Doubt it.
But
as usual.
But administration may have some other suggestions that we
absolutely.
can kind of meld together and make something work.
You bet.
Fair enough.
Sure. You bet.
Okay.
Your Worship,
Councillor Strauss.
I think that creates some excitement at the council table that perhaps Mr. Beckering won't fall asleep next time.
Oh, nice shot. Hey. All right. Anything else arising? Any other standing item agenda suggestion or otherwise? All right. So in that case, we don't need any further motion, correct?
We still need some clarity there. What exactly do we need to do? Are we bringing in back in form of an RFD? And if that's the case, will we not need a motion?
If we're going to go with an RFD, you would need an actual motion, you're saying?
Direct the administration to do ABCD.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough, I guess. Can you craft one together real quick there, Mr.
I don't think we need a motion. I think what the suggestion was for Councilor Garner to get with the mayor and have this come back to council as an RFD. So we're not creating one right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is just a suggestion, and I'm prepared to sit with you, Mr. Mayor, and if we feel it's necessary to craft something and in the future and bring it forward.
I'm just trying to accommodate Mr. Irwa's request here. Does that work?
If that's the direction of the council, then we don't need a motion.
Okay. Let's go that route then, and we'll have something for next agenda item. Fair enough. Okay. Thank you. All right. And once again, there are no delegations. We're on to meeting inquiries. Tabor Times. Trevor.
No inquiries.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. All right. With that, I would need a motion to move into closed session then, please.
I can make that motion, Mr. Mayor, that we move into closed session.
Councillor Bruin, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.